back, everybody. Today we're going over the sights that are on this pistol right here. The pistol itself is the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 that I recently reviewed, and the sights themselves are the Trijicon HD sights. These are the HD XRs. So first and foremost, the big difference, of course, is that they have a thinner front sight. We'll get into sort of the pros and cons of that here in just a second, but these are basically, people are going to call them night sights, but there are sights that a lot of people, myself included, have found to be excellent day sights as well as night sights. So they're some of the most popular night sights out there on the market. I've done a full review of the original HD sights. These ones here, again, just shrink that front sight a little bit, but I mean, they have an excellent reputation for sure for being quality sights that are very durable and easy to pick up for the eye. So what we're going to do, of course, is let the dogs take a look at it, then get into the actual details of the sights themselves. And at the end, we'll wrap it up with what I think of them overall. Before getting into the actual sights themselves, I just want to point out they're made for a number of different popular pistols out there. Pistols by FN, Glock, HK, SIG, Springfield Armory, and then of course the Smith & Wesson that we've been using throughout this video. So most of the popular duty type pistols out there, these sights are available for. I would imagine more will be coming down the road, but these sights I believe were just released this year. So basically they're kind of a new thing there. So getting into the sights themselves, couple things to go over. Like I said in the beginning, they're designed for day and night use. You can see out here on the front, it certainly looks different than the rear, but most of the things about the sights themselves in terms of the properties rather, are pretty similar. So first and foremost, the sights are made of steel, and then within them they have the tritium phosphor lamps. Those lamps themselves, which is the tritium phosphor, which is the actual element that's emitting light, they're expected to last for 12 years according to Trichicon's website. I've found my personal use of tritium sights over the years, and yes, I've had many for more than 10 years, that they start to dim around 8 generally speaking, but you can definitely still use them probably out to about 12. That's probably about right. So that's the life expectancy of them. Of course, they work fine after that during the day, but you won't have that photoluminescence after that. But anyway, those phosphor lamps, the tritium phosphor lamps, are actually bonded to an aluminum cylinder. So they bond them together, and then they put silicone rubber bushings around them. This again is all inside of the steel sight itself. Then they cover it with a sapphire jewel. So that does a ton of things. Number one, it makes it almost impossible to have any sort of recoil issues and come off and pop off during firing. It makes it very resistant to any sort of chemicals. So if you're out there, you know, and you're somebody who cleans your guns with solvents or anything like that, highly unlikely you're ever going to have any damage because they are capped by that silicone piece that we talked about there in the sapphire jewel, so almost impossible. The sights will differ in appearance based on the actual gun that you're putting it on, but they're going to have a lot of things in common, so I guess we'll go over those. First up, on the rear sight here, we'll focus on that. You're going to have a ledge on there, and that's for one-handed manipulation of the slides, so if you get a malfunction, you can clear it out with just one hand, which is certainly good. A lot of folks like that these days, myself included. You're going to have a nice black finish on there. Then on the rear of the sight, we're going to have some things going on. First and foremost, we have the 2 tritium vials that we talked about there. As you can see, there's no actual paint or anything like that around them. What that does, in addition to the U-notch there on the rear, is it really does draw your eye into that front sight. So I know there's some debate out there about U-notch sights and not being quite as accurate. I've never found that at all. I personally prefer U-notch sights. I really like them. They do, for me anyway, kind of focus my eye right through it to that front sight, which I do like. They're serrated there to cut down on glare. I've never had a problem with glare on sights, but hey, I'll take it when I can. And really, they have a nice finish overall. They tend to be, on most pistols, Glocks and M&Ps and FNs are the ones I've used them on, tend to be a little bit higher than factory front sights as well. Or factory sights, I should say. So I'm not sure if that's something that's a good or bad thing, but kind of is what it is sort of thing. So here on the front sight, we got a few things going on. Number one, They come in a couple different colors. I know they come in orange, as you see here, as well as the green or yellow. Some people will debate what the actual color is. You do have that photoluminescent paint around there, so that's what that is. It's not actually, it doesn't actually glow inherently like the Tritium does. But that photoluminescent paint, say you're coming, and say you're a police officer, just for example, and you're coming in out of the daylight into a dark building, that paint itself will actually emit light if it's charged with light for, generally speaking, 15 to 30 minutes. Now, it's never something I would ever count on. Me personally, most of my pistols are always holstered, so I would never count on the actual photoluminescence, but it's nice to have. If it's there, why not have it? So that's certainly nice, but I do like the bright colors up front, again, drawing your eye into that front sight. On the right, we have the Trijicon HD original front sight, and then here we have the XR sight that you guys have been checking out, and this really is the big difference between the two. If you're debating what to get, this is what it comes down to. So the front sight here with the XR version is actually 0.122 inches wide, and of course this one, as you can see, is considerably wider. Now when you're actually looking through the sights, that's really where the difference comes in. Basically, when you're looking through the XR sights, there's more air, if you will, to the left and the right. Looking through the sight pictures, some people say that gives you a better field of view. I suppose that's probably true. I'm not sure I'd really notice that. One thing I notice it for is when you're actually shooting at distance, you can see it. You can see the target a little bit better. Like if you have a small target, say like a 10-inch plate at 50 yards, a lot of times your actual front sight on most pistol sights will cover that. With the XRs, you have a less likely chance that that's going to happen. So that really is what I think a lot of people like it for, those precision shots or precision shots at distance. So that's the big difference between the two. You can see the other color here. If you guys are trying to decide which color you like, that's kind of how they look. There's the U-notch there. This is a Glock 42, by the way, on the right. And then, of course, you can see much more air there over on the left with the XR. So that's sort of what it looks like. If I can kind of play with the focus, I might be able to give you a little bit of a better idea there of what it looks like. And then over here with the XRs, there's definitely more air there with the XRs for sure. That should cover most of the details of the sight. I know one thing you guys always want to know is price. I think the MSRP on these is $175, so that is not cheap at all. Out there on the street, you can generally find the XRs for around $150. So again, not cheap. We'll put links down below though for those who are looking for them. But basically, what do I think of them, right? I think in general, the Trijicon HD sights are excellent sights, first and foremost, both the standard and the XR. I like them. I will continue to put them on pistols going forward. Basically, for the XR versus the standard, in my opinion, the only difference that I can see is in daylight. So in daylight, yes, you absolutely can see a difference. If you're going for precision at distance, it does give you an advantage. The downside, of course, is that for sort of snap shooting, it may be a hair slower. Now, that said, I think that may be sort of hypothetical only, because in the distances that it matters for that type of shooting, you're basically talking about point shooting anyway. And so I'm not sure it's a huge deal anyway. So, you know, if I'm shooting at a wall that's 10 feet behind me, I'm basically coming up like that and I'm on target anyway. Now, with the XRs, you sort of have a tendency as a shooter, as a human, to want to align things, right? If you have that window on the side, your brain wants things to align. When in reality, at those distances, it really doesn't matter if it's towards the left side of the U or the right side of the U. So that's why I say it may be in theory only, because at the distances that type of speed matters, generally speaking, it's not really a big deal. So in the day, it does matter. At night, I see no difference. They seem to work just fine. If you're using light, you will get a little bit more air on the sides, which some people like. But with the Tritium, I'm not sure, again, that actually picking up that sight acquisition is any different. So that's pretty much it, I guess. If you want the originals and you like the originals, I would go with them. If you want a little bit more precision capability, I'd go with these. You know, we're talking about very good sights overall, sights that have a great reputation. The only downside I see to the HD sights is this rear sight. If you're carrying it inside the waistband, sometimes will sort of rub on you. I know a lot of people out there will file these down to get them a little bit less sharp. So if they ever come out with sort of like a Gen 2 of the HD sights, I would round those off a little bit more just to make it a little bit less abrasive on your hip when you're carrying it, or kidney or your back, however you carry. That really is sort of the only downside I see to these sites, other than cost, of course, which I know is always an important factor. But they're good sites, and like I said, I will continue to put them on pistols going forward. If you guys have any questions about these sites or anything like that, you can always post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page, as always, which is generally speaking the best way to get in touch with me, because I tend to see the messages and questions over there better than I do here. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed yet, you found this through a Google search or a YouTube search, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we hope to see you in the next video.